The U.S. military has released a video of what it says was an unsafe maneuver by China's Navy in the Strait of Taiwan over the weekend. China's warship went across the path of the U.S. Navy destroyer. According to the Pentagon, it will not, quote, flinch in the face of bullying from Beijing. China responded, accusing the United States of provocation in the Taiwan Strait. And joining us now to talk about this and more is Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War. Gordon, great to see you again, as always. First off, let's talk more about this incident and what you think it signals. I mean, what is China up to?
China is trying to intimidate the United States and countries in the region with these dangerous and very provocative intercepts. And it was not just the one on Saturday with the U.S. destroyer Chang. It was also on May 26th with that U.S. Air Force RC135 across the South China Sea in international airspace. The United States defends the global commons, and we cannot allow China to close it off.
Yeah, and Gordon, what do you think the United States should do about this? I mean, it really does seem like an increased aggression on China's part.
Well, first of all, I think we need to step up these freedom of navigation exercises. We got to show China that we're not going to be intimidated. And also, I think we need to start with asymmetric policies imposing costs on China. The Biden administration, for instance, in response to that spy balloon in January and February, actually delayed imposing costs on China that had been planned. That's giving incentives for Beijing to act provocatively. We need to do the opposite, which means start imposing those measures to show China that we're not scared of it.
Gordon, I want to go back to the incident that took place over the weekend in the Taiwan Strait. For those not familiar, can you talk to us a little bit more about this body of water, which really is seen as a strategic body of water for the security of Taiwan?
Yeah, the Taiwan Strait is about 110 miles across, and it separates Fujian province from Taiwan. And China says that this is Chinese waters. But even if Taiwan were annexed by the People's Republic, it still would be international waters under the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea. China just is a party to that UN convention. It's just lawless right now. And so therefore, the United States and other countries have no choice but to defend freedom of navigation. And remember, it was not just a U.S. destroyer. It was also a Canadian frigate that came with the U.S. to protect international global commons.
Yeah, good point there. Something else I'm going to talk about. More than 24 people were detained over the weekend in Hong Kong on the anniversary of the 1989 protest in China's Tiananmen Square. Tell us more about this, Gordon, and what you think this all signals.
Well, this was China trying to coerce people into not commemorating the 1989 massacre in Tiananmen Square. Prior to China's full takeover of Hong Kong in 2020 with the national security law, there were always big commemorations in Victoria Park, 100,000 people, but now those have been outlawed. And matter of fact, any sort of expression of commemoration have been outlawed and people have been detained. And that's why we have seen a much more coercive China in Hong Kong right now, making sure that nobody, basically Hong Kong has become like China. There's no dissent permitted at all.
Yeah, something else that I do want to touch on happened last week. The former head of China's CDC said the theory that COVID-19 leaked from a lab could not be ruled out. This, as we know, China has continually downplayed the lab leak theory. Gordon, your thoughts on this, and why do you think he would say this, and why now?
Well, the Chinese people are going to tell us eventually what happened because they are moral. And they are as outraged as we are. And so we are going to hear Chinese voices that know, talk to us about this. Now, the lab leak theory is the most probable. And Beijing, of course, doesn't want any discussion of it because that would reveal China's illegal biological weapons program, which is outlawed by their obligations under the Biological Weapons Convention. So China does not want to talk about this at all.
Well, we got to leave it right there. Gordon, always great to get your insights and have you on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tracy.